Welcome to Nature vs. Nurture, an insight podcast.
He's rattled.
This podcast is about the who, what, when, where, and why of nutrition.
You really want to know what's not a big fucking help?
Humans are a complex organism, and we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of it.
Honestly, guys, this is the first time I've ever really talked about it in a public forum. Right?
I don't know, man. I've been doing some serious reading on, and that's big for me. First of all, is reading.
Right? I'm impressed already.
Right?
If that's
So
the only thing
enough
you get out of this, if that's the only thing you get out of this diet, Greg, it's worth it.
That's right? Like
Greg can read.
Greg would finally read.
This diet made Greg read. He can read.
That's what I'm missing. I just need to get a diet to read. Tell the kids. No,
Greg's no longer illiterate.
Man, I'm looking into the carnivore stuff, man. It is making a lot
dope.
of sense.
Yeah.
It's making a lot of freaking sense, man.
Yeah.
Just when he hits with there's a good site on that Dr. Paul Saladino or something like that, and he basically rebuttals the whole Game Changers show that was on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
He cherry picked everything.
The
Gladiator thing was interesting because I was like, that was sold me like Gladiators only eat vegetables, but he's like, yeah, and they were also fat, and they wanted to be fat because it would protect them from cuts.
Yeah.
They would get cut with a blade, and it wouldn't cut nerve damage or muscle damage. It would cut the fat, so they wanted to be fat. I'm like, that makes a whole lot of sense, actually.
It's like sumo wrestlers.
Is that a video? Is that a
No,
book?
just go to. But Paul guy's got a book, but he's got a blog on it that just says
Because my sister, I was at my sister's today, and she's complete vegan since that show. She's turned, and she's never stopped since. Like, she fully believes that show, and not that I mean, she feels great. She says, and it works for her. But
yeah,
I'd like
a lot of the changes though that people experience is what they're not eating, and that's both in the carnivore and in the vegan. So really, it's just at the end of the day, it's kind of the shit you're not eating inflaming you, and now you're getting more nutrients. And again, like, everybody's different with digestive systems, so both camps are right. Believe it. Like, both camps are right. There's solid science and data that support. But vegans tend to be a little bit more heartfelt,
it's emotion. It's an emotional.
Yeah. It's emotionally driven.
What else? Not emotionally, but what's the one that said not emotionally, but
it's like CrossFit. People that do CrossFit, they're just mental.
Yeah, they're zealots. It's almost like a religious
thing.
Yeah. But with the carnivore and the even the paleo movement and ketosis too, it's more scientific. Like, ketosis has been around since the 1800s. Like, they first documented putting people into ketosis for grand mal seizures associated to epilepsy, and they found that there was a massive decrease in both frequency and severity. And so, really, when it comes to research diets, the keto diet is probably one of the most. But a lot of the keto diet, what they would have been looking at, and this goes back to what Greg's doing, because I've been researching the meat movement, the carnivore diet now for probably two and a half years.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. There's an incredible doctor. He's an orthopedic surgeon.
Sean Baker. Yeah, I've been reading his stuff, man. You should
listen. You should listen to some of his stuff. Like, it makes sense. And then he references other doctors that are supporting this and see the science behind it. Like, what it does is it basically just shoots, like, vegans can shoot holes but it's not the same kind of science that they shoot holes into the carnivore diet.
Hold on. And just quick thing. Why don't we make this the podcast?
Sure. Let's do it.
Welcome to Nature vs. Nurture, an insight podcast. This podcast is about the who, what, when, where, and why of nutrition.
Continue. Thanks.
Continue. You're allowed now. You're allowed.
Now that we've just completely derailed the thought, let's jump in and talk about good.
That's great.
Good thing I was fucking recording already. God.
So what Greg is saying, what Greg is just not illustrated, what he's shown us is that intermittent fasting is not a cure for ADHD.
The only vegan diet does that? Dang, I'm on the wrong one.
But it's cool that you're saying that, Greg, because You're right. Like every diet is, again, we have to step back, and this is what happens when people get privy to information, when they are privy to information. It's like when you read a book, everybody's reading, Wheat Belly and all of these different books that have come out. They come out seasonally. Pretty much every year there's a new book that comes out that vilifies a particular nutrient, and then everybody's focusing on this. It's trendy stuff, and it's just marketing. But so what I'm proposing, what I'm trying to get people to fully understand after 20 years of being in this, is that the carnivore diet is a tool. Ketosis is a tool. Right. Veganism, it's not a religion, it's not a way of life, it's a tool. It's just simply a way that you feed your body. And if you try veganism and veganism works for you, then obviously it was the right tool for that renovation, for that job, right? So what's happening is if you can envision a group of contractors sitting around, and every one of them has a different tool, and they're all fucking arguing about which one is the best tool. But really, anybody from the outside who's got this broad perspective, like Insight does, can step in and say, okay, well, listen, it depends not on the tool, but on the renovation. And that's why I keep telling people, guys, it's not the food that's curing you. It's the food matching you. It's the unique organism, right? Yeah. So, you have to look at that. What are you trying to heal? What are you working with? Like, yeah. I've got clients right now that are in ketosis, my daughter included. She's out of ketosis now, but I put her into ketosis to heal her Crohn's, right? And now she's walking around a beautiful, vibrant young lady, able to go to university, unmedicated, asymptomatic, which means no symptoms. Okay.
That's huge.
And I've got people that are working, and what I did is I cut out her vegetables, and I cut out her grains, and I cut out her dairy, and she eats meat and fruit basically, and some sweet potato and stuff like that. Right. So but in order to find out what works for her, I created almost like a scientific experiment, and she just ate meat. She ate meat and eggs for almost 3 months. And her health improved, guys. Didn't go down, improved. Wow. And now, that's just unsustainable. So now she eats meat and eggs and bacon and sweet potato and rice sometimes. But she's gotten away from fruits, and she eats a shit ton of vegetables. But anyway, I'm getting away from it. But what's happening is that we're jumping too quickly, and we're looking at, okay, I've got this hammer, so I can do everything with this hammer. But the hammer's probably, it's a really good tool. You guys have heard me talk about this before. But what happens is we get so friggin' kung fu death gripped on that hammer that we're not willing to pay attention and learn how other tools may work, because there's going to come a point where you're going to need to change what you're renovating, right? You're done the kitchen. You can't sit in the kitchen and build more of the kitchen. Like, too much of a good thing. You guys, it's all about moderation. So Greg's intermittent fasting right now is working for him right now, and that's phenomenal. But what happens is when intermittent fasting stops working, then there's no place to go. Then you're just lost and confused. And then what happens? You go back to the previous 30 plus years of eating bad habits, because you haven't, right? So it would be like, okay, I'm going to renovate my house. You go out, you buy everything for the kitchen, and then you're done the kitchen, but you've never set up or called the contractors or got the materials to do your living room. So now you're caught, and you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? How do I transition into my living room from my kitchen? So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to these diets, where you can read online the pros and cons about any single one. It's crazy. It's like religion. You can go in and you can look at, some of the horrible things that Christianity has done over the centuries, right? And they're like, well, I want no part of that. And then you can go into Buddhism, and then you can go in all these, right? And all of them have greatness to them. They all have, similar properties and qualities. But, right? And then you get
dangerous thing to get into. Let's stay away from religion.
Tread carefully.
I know where you're headed, but tread carefully. Whoa.
But this is dangerous, guys, because when you start talking about food, finances, vaccines, and religion, dude, you're literally like, it's a shitstorm. Because
honestly, I can vouch for that, because I'm so excited about this. I've been reading about it. I'm going nuts. And I'm talking to other people about it, and they're almost getting offended
Yeah.
They're like they're getting offended at me, like I'm attacking them, like a personal attack, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just like brain dumping everything that I'm learning. Do you mean? And excited about it, but they're all like, what do you mean I can't eat? Like, what do you mean vegetables are bad for you? What do you mean I don't eat fiber? I'm just like, well, these are the things I'm reading. I mean, like these are things like, But so it's like they're totally the people. It's very very like emotional. Like it's your base. It's who you are. It's what your belief. It's your beliefs is what it is, and that's the big thing. Changing someone's beliefs is,
dude, man,
forget it.
Right? Changing, like they used to burn people at the stake for even thinking that the world was round. You know what I mean? Like people hate their dogmatic, convenient way of thinking, doubted. And when you create that doubt and plant that seed, people automatically, the knee-jerk reaction is to get offended by it. Totally. That's why, like, with the community that we have, it's about people, individuals doing their own thing and just reporting, like, their weekly check-ins and things like that. They're talking about their experience more so than how they're doing it. You notice that, the people that report or do their check-ins to the group, they're not talking about what they're doing, right? There's 4 or 5 people that are in ketosis. There's a couple vegans that are in there. Right. But they're not talking about how they're achieving their goals. They're just talking about the goals that they're achieving and like where they're going, what they've accomplished this week, the struggles that they've had.
On a related note,
for next week.
Did you see some of the before and after pictures people are sharing?
They're pretty awesome.
Like it's like 6 weeks into the 8-week challenge.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Insane. Some of the differences between like Matt's picture, his belly, and some of the other people just wow.
It looks so much better.
Oh yeah, crazy differences.
Yeah. And that's just and all that is that's Joel's workout. So Matt's been committing to doing Joel's workouts plus he's getting out and feeling better. But he's just got what I would classify as just a balanced meal plan. So he's hitting his macro goals. And this is something I need to talk about as well is, at the end of the day, your body still needs that paycheck. And I think where weight loss and optimal health kind of get confused is that, quite often we put the body into a weight loss scenario because we're putting the cart before the horse. We think, okay, we're going to feel better when we lose weight. Yeah. And we really force the body quickly into that scenario without nurturing the body and teaching it how to get there safely. And I find that that's a big issue. The dog chasing the car. We don't realize what we have to do when we get there to sustain this. And I think that's where a lot of these, and Greg and I have talked candidly about this regarding, some of the top thinkers of our time, intermittent fast or our OMAD, 1 meal a day type people, but they didn't get there overnight. And if you look at them, they're not Adonises, like they're not intense athletes lifting weights and stuff like this. So again, there's always these 3 pillars that we need to coordinate. It's your physiology, your how you digest food, what your body needs to maintain its genetic, blueprint, the food that you have available to you, and the environment in which you live in. Are you a collegiate, football player, or are you a collegiate endurance runner, or are you a stay-at-home mom, or do you work a 9-to-5 or at the for the government? You know what I mean? Sitting at a desk, typing in code. Right. So those things all need to be considered before you choose your tools. Right. Yeah. Because again, your tools have to match.
And that's what we're here for, right? We're providing all the right tools to put in your toolbox.
Well, exactly.
And I like what Greg said about gladiators too, because there's like a complete difference, sort of referencing the
Hollywood
difference. Yeah, well, not only Hollywood, but the difference between a desk job and then, like Neil, what you used to do. You're sort of a prime example of, you used to be a firefighter, and then going from firefighting to your in a relatively sedentary job now. So you'd have a completely different diet, a completely different daily structure than you would have back then.
Without a doubt. Like it's funny you mentioned that, Ben, because after firefighting, right, I went in and took on nutrition full time, like owned a couple of franchises and things like that. And my life changed drastically. And it was a very difficult change for me. I was used to, from the Navy right to the fire. I was a diver in the Navy and then went right into the firefighting. And then all of a sudden now I'm working on a couch, one-on-one with people and doing this nutritional thing and running these businesses. It was a loss of identity for a long time. My body was having a difficult time adjusting because it still wanted the food as I ate as a firefighter and as a soldier. but then the expenditure wasn't there. And this is where for a lot of years, the misconception of muscle turning into fat, because athletes that were athletes, all of a sudden when they stopped doing what it was that they were doing, they'd get fat. Their body fat percentage, their composition would change.
They maintain their 6,000 calorie diets.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Because you're saying the body wants it, it craves it. You're exactly what you're saying, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a budget, guys. Like, you know, if you make $600,000 a year and then you're cut back to 300,000, still a good income, but not when you've adjusted your living to 600,000. It could be a major step backwards, right? And you could be living in literal poverty. Like, you could be getting things taken from you. So when I started to really kind of find my balance, I jumped into veganism and I started to do a lot of running. I did some extreme, you know, I did 30-hour races. And anyway, I was
30-hour races.
Yeah, like these adventure races with like rock climbing and canoeing and mountain biking and orienteering and stuff like that.
Did you ever do the ones through the mountains? There's somewhere, I don't know if it's like a 100-mile race or something. You run through the mountains.
This one wasn't. No, I mean that's crazy. I mean this was like multifaceted. So we had different places where we jump into these. Like, I remember being out in the Atlantic at 2:00 in the morning, and you know, nothing but a compass and a chem light. Jeez. And we're, you know, and anyway, but my body adapted to that, and I found the switch to veganism was phenomenal, because I was just go, and the less muscle I had, really, the more I could go. So I dropped to about 155 pounds. I was, you know, ripped inside out. I had nothing, like, it was almost like stripping down a vehicle for a very long journey. I had very little fat. I had very little muscle, but I was lean, you know what I mean? And I could run forever. But that changed now, because I miss that push and pull. I love being able to pick shit up and put it down and knock things over, right? It's just part of me. And I love being able to pick my kids up. I don't want to outrun my kids. Not really.
Unless there's a bear coming.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I have to be faster than the bear, just the person next to you.
Right.
But anyway.
Congrats to running 30 hours. That's like, I have a hard time being on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
I fell asleep on my bike. Like, I literally woke up in a ditch. I fell asleep on my bike.
What?
And
that's not
had
funny,
to get back up. No. So, I mean, it's an extreme sport for sure.
Well, and that sort of speaks to the lifestyle change that is required for something. Like, that's a drastic example, but going from one thing to another, it isn't just, and that goes back to talking about the different types of diets. If you stick to something for a couple of weeks, then you're not going to really see much difference. But if you stick to something for a couple of months, then, okay, I notice the difference now that this diet is having on my life, rather than just trying to do it. Okay, 2 weeks, I didn't lose anything, so I quit. I'm done. This isn't working. Right. It doesn't work.
No, that's not the timeline for evolution. It's longer.
Right. I really like what's going on with the group too. And like you said, like, you got to find your thing. I think it was Darlene who posted that. Like, she's like, I've tried a bunch of different things and just nothing's working. So, like, you're right. In a sense, everyone is a little bit different, right? Everyone's, some people don't like to eat meat. Some people love to eat meat. You know, some people don't feel good on it. Like, you got to find that you got to find that tailored thing, but try things. Certainly go out and try shit. Try vegan. Do you hate it? If you feel terrible and you're farting, pooping all the time,
off the list.
Get it out of there, right? Like, move to the next thing, right? Like, that's the next part about it, right?
And I keep saying this for the workout, same idea, right? And you'll learn this with experience. And for me, I was always, I guess, both in nutrition and fitness, as I use many of these tools at the same time. So if, say, this week I had lots of reward meal, I would maybe try the OMAD diet on Monday, just to kind of cleanse, and then go back to my regular diet till Friday, and then kind of let loose on the weekend. And that worked great for me. But that's how I learned to do it, right? Yeah. So I use many of these tools together, you know, and I time them so it works for me.
And that's right. And that's the name of the game, guys. Like, Marina posted to our group. I won't mention her last name because she'll kill me. But also just for confidentiality. But I mean, she's down. I've known Marina for quite a while, and she's been on every single diet. And she posted this. Like, she's been one of those serial dieters and couldn't find anything. And, you know, she was a clean eater. She ate nutritious food, but it just didn't match her. And then she discovered a ketosis. And, you know, she suffers from some hormonal issues, like in terms of, fibroids and things like that. Like a lot of women are. And anyway, so she posted to the group talking about being open about, you know, being hesitant about it and reading both sides of the research, and then talking to me, and I convinced her to give it a shot, and that I'd monitor her. I made her a meal plan to follow so that she was getting nutrients within those. It wasn't just arbitrarily, and she was doing it sensibly. Anyway, 26 pounds down now. And like her skin, she also suffers from psoriasis, and her psoriasis has cleared up significantly. She just feels better. Her anxiety is down. All of these things, because I think her body is not feeling like it's in the midst of a gunfight with a knife. You know, it's actually getting the nutrients that it needs in order to fix the damage. Like if I give Ben a screwdriver or a hammer to fix his watch, the tool just doesn't fit the job needed. And that would piss Ben off. Like, I need another tool. I don't know what other tool I need, but I need another tool. Yeah. So it's Insight's job to keep handing those tools to people. Here you go. Try this, try this, try this. And our job is not to tell them what to do, but maybe help them do it in a safe manner so that they can give us the feedback and say, yes, I got it. Right. And then bam, they're there for that time. And the price point that Insight is at is just for that, so that they can do this, say ketosis, for 3 months. And we're with them for 3 months and 3 months after, so they don't recoil afterwards, because they're not looking to cut bents and run because of the price point. You know, it's crazy. So there's a lot of things out there right now that are really conflicting with the whole health experience. And it's people telling other people what to do because it worked for them, and people price pointing it to a point where they don't believe in what they're doing because they know no one's going to stay. They know that they've only got about this much,
snatch and grab.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
I've
got 12 weeks worth of material. And then after that, I'm as shallow as a puddle. I can't go any deeper than that. And here at Insight, we're calling those people out. We have all of it. We can run with you until the end.
Right.
Well, and I like that you bring her up too, because that is something that noticeably this podcast is missing, is women. I think we've had Joe on, we've had the boys. Well, no, that's not the intent. But I mean, like that, women have completely different physiologies, right? So it's sort of anecdotal for us to talk about women's bodies, right? Like that's sort of objectifying. Yeah, we can't really talk about women sort of anecdotally, but if we were to have somebody, so if anybody wants to be on the podcast, you can join us some week.
Exactly.
I like that.
We can talk about you as much as we like, I guess, but we should really have some ladies on some of the insights.
Yeah, we could. There was a post that I put up to the group, and I actually pulled this off of YouTube, and it was a TEDx talk. It was a trainer, a lot like Joel, that noticed the differences in regards to, how a woman's biorhythms are, like how they, at certain times of the month and things like that. Because again, like, and Ben and I, I'll refer to Ben on this one, is Ben and I have worked with a lot of women over our lives. Like I'd say 75% of the clientele that I've worked with over the last 20 years have been women. Yeah. So you start to, as an objective view or observer, you can start to see trends. So I would, I would actually, talk to them and say, listen, are you due for your menstrual cycle? Like, because of their scale weight going up inexplicably, and then being upset, like, I don't understand. I didn't do anything wrong this week, but because of hormones and things like this. So, and women lose weight slower than men. And this is my personal hypothesis based on, again, research and experience, but women have superior cardiovascular systems. Okay. And when women gain weight, they don't gain weight like visceral fat, like us men do. They don't gain it around their throat. They're starting to now because their biochemistry is actually changing, but I'll get into that in a second. So men gain weight around their throats, around their midriff, like around their organ tissue. So it's visceral fat.
This guy. neck and belly fat, boy.
Neck and belly fat. So that's dangerous fat, right? That puts pressure on organs. It promotes estrogen imbalances and testosterone decrease. And anyway, the list goes on. But when women gain weight, they gain weight in areas that don't have vital organ tissue. They gain it in their thighs, the back of their arms, things like this because of their hormones. But also too, because of child rearing. A female's body is used to gaining, 25 or 30 pounds easily, comfortably, naturally. Whereas men, we gain that same 25 or 30 pounds and it goes in places that we're not meant to keep it. And our cardiovascular system is not geared to support it. So that's why we were getting our asses kicked for many, many, many years when it came to obesity and heart disease and those related issues. Now women are really fast tracking. They're catching up to us because their stress levels are far superior than men's because again, like they do everything it's that song, anything you can do, I can do better. Anything we can do, they can do more of, and they do it. And now they're suffering the consequences. And that's just my opinion. But it's almost like they're racing us to the cliff's edge. And we as people that have been jumping off the cliff's edge for so many years with these bullshit self-inflicted issues, we should be smart enough to, turn around and say, no, you don't want any part of this. You don't want to be like me. I'm a mess.
I find that interesting, the cardiovascular part, because I remember watching Trust Me, I'm a Doctor's episode. It was on BBC Earth. And they did a study. It was just one study, but they took, men and women, they separated, and they had one group that they fasted before they did cardio. And then the other group, so it was split between women and men. The other group was had taken something, a drink or some sort of meal or something before cardio. And then they compare the numbers over like so many weeks, I forget again. And it showed that in the most part, men lost more weight fasted, but it was flipped that women actually lost more weight with a meal in their body. So like you can't say the same thing again, like what you're saying. You can't say, hey, go do cardio or fasted cardio to a woman, and it may not be the best result for her, right? Like it's different. It's very interesting. So
because I remember researching intermittent fasting when I first got into it, and it always said for women to fast not as long as guys. So we would be at 16, they would be at 14. I've seen this a lot online.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we're different creatures. We've got a lot of the same like organs and physiology and stuff, bones and muscles and tendons and things. But the
hormones.
And we're starting to see that, Greg. A lot of the diseases that we're dealing with today, they're not structural diseases. They're cellular, they're hormonal, they're neurological. So again, we're not paying attention to the wiring. So from the last two podcasts, like I want to go back to the whole, and I don't even know what to call it in terms of, Greg calls it, what would you call it, meals?
Reward meal.
Reward meal. Anyway.
Meals reward meal plan.
Right.
Woo.
Yeah. That's
it's stick until we find something better. And it looks like we're not finding anything better.
But it's designed to basically it's almost like a multi-tool for now. Like a multi-tool is a really good tool unless you really have to do something that's very precise. Right. You know what I mean? You can go to Home Hardware and get one of these tools, like these screwdrivers with all the different heads on them. But when you really need a really good screwdriver for performance, race car,
those are
whatever.
shit screwdrivers.
Right? Those are shit screwdrivers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. It's enough for the average Joe home improvement weekend do-it-yourselfer type person, right? And guys, that's 95% of us. The other 5% really get into like these extreme tool usage or diets because their bodies are extreme, right? Race cars versus your average grocery getter. Race car is going to cost you $25,000 for an oil change, and it's got whereas your average everyday grocery getter, not so much. So this is kind of what we're working with here is we're for the average everyday person. Yes, we can work with elite athletes. Like we've got a great, a phenomenal trainer.
I'm on here.
Yeah.
Gladiator Greg.
The lead athlete.
if you're a gladiator, Greg will work with you.
Lead athlete, okay?
What'd you say? You'll lead an athlete?
I said I'm an elite athlete, okay?
Elite athlete. Sorry,
yes, and I will lead an athlete as well.
So anyway, but it's just like that's the thing, guys. Like a lot of the research, like when we were talking about Sean Baker, the doctor there that's spearheading the carnivore movement online, like the guy's an All Blacks rugby player, which All Blacks are like the elite of SEAL Team 6 for rugby. He's got, national deadlift records. He's got a world record for the Concept 2 rower. Mm-hmm. He's an extreme dude, right? And his body has extreme needs. So like, again, we have to not look at these people as, getting advice from these people. We can take information, but to follow this person, it's an extreme version. So what Insight has done, and what I've accumulated over a lot of years, is a way of feeding the average everyday person where they're getting enough fruits and vegetables to cover that aspect. Because again, whether or not we need them, they're there and they're beneficial, and we're deprived of a lot of these things. And the meats, yes, we need that. We need good quality stuff. But I think really at the end of the day, if we can get those foods into us in a time frame that the body can absorb them, then it will take us to a point where we could potentially become elite. And then we can make those decisions, and we're healthy. See, the benefit to being healthy is that you're more in tune with yourself. So you know what works and what doesn't work. When you're unhealthy, you don't know your ass from your elbow. Like, it's really frustrating. Right. And people are quick to jump to these conclusions, where I've seen people, come into my office and I've taken a bag of chips away, like a family size bag of chips away from them a day, because they would eat one every single day. And you take that away and they feel fantastic. They lose 30 pounds. Right. And really all I did was take a bag of chips away from them. Right. Yeah. And it's just like, again, that'll get you so far. So a lot of it is just relevant. If you feel really, really shitty and you start drinking a little bit more water and you start cleaning up your diet a little bit, and even introducing the shitty food at a better time frame. So maybe their meat isn't the best organic or grass-fed beef, and maybe their vegetable sources are Caesar salads. But the thing is that they're eating them at better times, and they're eating them better hydrated, and the body's actually using more nutrition from them, so they feel better. And then they start to get addicted to feeling better. And then they start to look into it more. And guess what? Insight is there every step of the way. Neil, what do you think about this? Yep. Oh, wait, let's give it a shot. Joel, what about exercising like this while I'm eating like this? And like, we're right there with you. You've got 7-day-a-week access to us.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head too. I know, I want to say maybe not 99% of people, but a lot of people, like you got to start slow. Like you can't, like maybe these carnivore diets, these vegan diets they're the extremes. But like you said, just start in small steps, clean one thing up, clean the next thing up. You can't walk into a gym and then, expect someone to do, tons of deadlifts and tons of squats. They'll never come back on their first day. Do you mean you got to start them easy? Do you know what I mean? Like, I did that once. I was trying to train a guy, got him he just never came back. Anyway,
traumatized.
Learn that lesson. But yeah, you got to start like small, right? You got to start like you said, take that one bag of chips a day. They get addicted to it. Okay, I want to get harder. I want to get better. Yeah. Throw me into running 30-hour marathons, and I would die. I would literally die. And it's funny, you got to start your way up, right? Like,
it's funny you say that, Greg, because I've seen this so often in the gym where you get this new guy coming in and the guy was like, yo, you want to see what training is all about? And they make him do the craziest leg workout. I've seen this so often. Yeah, they break him. It was like, this is nuts. Like, they can't sit on the toilet bowl for 2 weeks. Like, he's not going to come back.
I remember when I was in university and I was doing chest bench press, and it was super embarrassing because like you watch all the movies and guys are like loading on 45s, like you just put 2 plates on either side, and then I got under the bench and I was like, all right, I'm ready, here we go. Boom. It didn't do anything, like not even an inch, nothing. I was just like and I was so embarrassed to get up and take those 45s off. I'm like, okay, I'll put a 10, and a 5. And
and still didn't move.
Yeah, I was still struggling. I was still like, eh.
But man, you got to start there. Everyone's got to start from somewhere, and you can't force it too much, or people will quit, or you switch their diet too fast, and they don't. Their body's changing, and they're like, oh, I don't like this. They quit and they go back to old habits, right? Like you gotta.
Right. Imagine having access to a guy like Joel, and maybe Joel would say, okay, you know what? Start with a bunch of push-ups at home so that when you do step into the gym, you can lift weight that you feel proud of. You know what I mean? Like actually prepares you for that. Yeah. Because everybody thinks that in order for you to be fit, you got to be in the gym. We get a guy that's going to be posting to the group. He just dropped a couple pounds this weekend because he went crazy. Like this guy is, he's an outdoorsman. Anyway, he hiked this insane amount of distance over the weekend. And I'm like, man, post that to the group because that's your exercise. Like that's something people need to see, that there's a lot more than just what's in the gym. Yeah. Right.
That's definitely a great exercise.
It's phenomenal. And I mean, you come back, you feel really good. Like, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I mean, Joel and I get sore when we work out, but it's a different kind of sore. It feels really good to have that stiffness. It makes you aware of yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? It feels, it's a nice feeling. Whereas, crippling yourself. I remember I used to teach spin class years ago. And, again, I'm not saying that I've been like this my whole life. Like, the empathy and the understanding of other people. It was I don't know, like anyway, it was a dick thing to do, but I would purposely try. Like I didn't have a successful class unless someone threw up.
Oh, wow.
Right. Wow. And that's the thing. I pushed them, and then I'd start to see that only the elite would come in, and I was missing out on all the other people that were potentially going to die of heart disease and needed the exercise.
Your help. Right.
Yeah. I was being a jerk, and I was, like they didn't want to be there. The same way as New Year's, you have these idiots within the clubs and stuff like that turn their nose up at the people that are just showing up, the New Year's resolutioners that want to change their life, but they get in there and they feel so goddamn uncomfortable because they have the posers and the influencers and all these other people in there. It's really cool to have a very cost-effective, a very experienced group of individuals that can get you ready to get in there, so that when you go in there, you feel confident.
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't go to a dance class or a dance recital if you didn't know how to dance. Right?
True.
But a lot of people don't have the money for trainers. Sorry, Joel, but a lot of people don't have the money for trainers.
Yeah.
So they walk in there and they want to figure things out, but they just can't.
And it's sad though, because it shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that. And that's one of the most common thing people say is like, I don't want to, because I start from the bottom, the very bottom. Like I don't know anything, and I don't want to be looking stupid at the gym. But you always have this guy that's like jacked and tanned, and everybody should know it. Damn right.
Now, Chief, I'm in the zone.
Yeah. So, and that's intimidating, right? Like,
totally.
it is. I get it, but it shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't be like that. You're right, Joel. And it wasn't back in the day.
Well, the catch-22 though is if you want to learn how to do deadlifts and stuff like that, I mean, you got to do it though, right? Yeah. And if you're not equipped at home, you got to go. So it's like, what do you do, right? Like,
but you can build up. But again, that's what Joel knows. You can build up supporting muscles so that when you go in there, you feel and the majority of the people in there are either underweight or overweight. So really, like, you don't have to enter, like, we can bring you somewhere towards the middle so that you're a healthy average. And then healthy average goes in there and you feel like, okay. And then you're like, and you guys have heard me say this before, is that health is a precursor to fitness. Okay. Fitness doesn't make you healthy. All right. Fitness makes you healthier. You still have to be healthy first. Because if you're in there and you're 485 pounds and you're running on the treadmill and you're doing that every day,
your knees are going to beat.
Your knees, you're going to kill yourself. I mean, look at the what's happened to these people in The Biggest Loser with, their fractures and all of the issues that they're having because they made them exercise before they dropped their weight or before they got them healthy enough so that the body looked at the exercise as stimulus as opposed to stress. Right. And that's the pocket that Insight fits in, is that pocket will get you there so that when you walk into the gym, you can feel confident. You feel, and your body feels like, you know what, this is the next step. It's like dating before you get married. You know what I mean? This is the next step. This makes sense to me. I like it here. I'm comfortable here. I don't care how people look at me because I know where I came from before I even stepped in the goddamn door. Right? Yeah. It's owning it. That's a healthy person going in there versus you throw someone in there and they're totally uncomfortable and they're overwhelmed, and then you put them on a radical diet and then you get them to pay thousands of dollars for a personal trainer.
They're breaking fast.
They're breaking fast. Yeah. They're only going because they're paying. And then once the payment's done, they're out.
Yeah. And get this, people starting with our program, they actually have an edge over people in the gym because people in the gym, all they've seen is the gym where COVID-19 hits and they're without equipment and they don't know what to do. Right. Yeah. If you start the other way, man, like people underestimate the push-up. Like there's so many push-up variations. And I keep telling this to my buddy. He's like, oh, it's push-ups. Like I bench 300 pounds. Like, no, man, you don't get it. Like come home. I'll do a push-up session with you. I guarantee you'll be sore the next day. It's gonna be such a shock on your body. You won't know what's going on, right? But it's a great place to start because then you're never without a gym. And you can later hit the gym and to get stronger.
Joel,
well, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because as restrictions get lifted, I would like to do a lot more videos in the gym and talk about some of the machines. Because I had a client recently that she asked me to go to the gym with her because she was terrified of these things that look like something you'd go
torture.
Well, yeah, either a torture machine or you see a carny unloading at the fair, right? It's just a piece of a roller coaster that's like, how do I use this?
Where does this fit?
This big metal spider that, it's just ridiculous. So I'd like to do some of that content too.
Yeah. Well, Joel hit on a point, and I want to bring this out because it is about situationally awareness, like creating situational awareness. Like it's that foundation. If you can work out at home, you can work out anywhere. So the gym is an added bonus to that. And it's the same as what we do with nutrition and lifestyle is if you know how to eat, you can eat right anywhere. Right. But people, like we've seen with these extreme diets and stuff, they have to pack and weigh and measure everything with them, and they can't go across the border because I can't bring my own food with me across the border. All of these things, and their friends stop inviting them because they can't eat what's served to them because they don't know how to navigate the macros because they're not, Neil, what's a macro? I don't know. Right. So this is what we teach people is it's self-empowerment. It's empowerment. So should they choose to go to the gym or stick with a particular way of eating, it's because it's their choice, because they know it's their choice. I know what's out there, right? And I choose this one.
Yeah. It's a mindset. We're changing their mindset, right? Into thinking healthy, into being more active, into being, being more fit, being more healthy, right? So it's a mindset choice change. It's what it is.
And Matt Gotro put it you got it. You said he was trying to broaden his horizon because before you just want to lift stuff up, right? Probably talking about the deadlift, and it's great, but he's right. You got to broaden your horizon and see what's out there, and then use the tools that you need to get to achieve your goals. So
and those goals change, and the tools may need to change in order to accommodate those goals. And that's the thing. It's all about goal setting, guys. We have to have something worth doing. We have to have, like with us, it's about growing the inside community. We want to reach as many people as we can. And we want people to understand that we're there for the average person. That's our bread and butter. That's who we want. Those are the people that are dying from heart disease and their marriages are breaking up because they don't know who they are anymore. And, they hate who they see in the mirror and all of these things. Like all of these things are happening to the average everyday person. But 99% of the six-pack abs and the V-shreds and all the shirtless tattooed dicks that you see on YouTube are 12-week programs, and they're trying to sell you like an elite athlete, and we're not, guys.
That's true.
We've got families and jobs and everything else. So how does an elite way of eating fit into a normal lifestyle? It's a square peg and round hole, and it's making people broke, and it's pissing a lot of people off, and they're getting just sick and tired of it.
Yeah. Well, then they get discouraged too because they fail at it and they go, oh geez, I must suck, or but it's not the case. Like you're
never meant to.
You're expecting to run the 30-hour marathon when they they should be on the treadmill for 5 minutes at least.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're all over the place. These dudes. There's one I keep seeing on Facebook. It's just this super jacked dude, ripped, looking at a distance with this sunset in the background. It's like, wow, that's so like not realistic.
Yeah.
driving
What a
big
douche.
fancy car.
Yeah.
What a douche. If you want to be a douche, then you need to eat like this.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately, this is what people are looking at, and it's the loudest voice, right? It's that guy in the room. You know, everybody seems to gravitate towards him. But now that we're older guys, we start to see that that douche that was in the room that came in the fancy car and all the bravado, he was
has a massive car payment.
Something. He has a massive car payment, right?
Or he worked his ass off for years and years and got the foundation and got the base and then went to the extreme. You know?
Let's be honest. The 99.9% of the guys that work their way and got that car, and I know one of them. He's an ex-RCMP officer. He owns a chain of Wendy's. He's got 2 Lamborghinis and a McLaren P1.
I saw that downtown. It looked nice.
You would never know it. He's giving it to grads to take to their grad, right? Yeah. It's not the guy that you'll never find him. He doesn't even have a Facebook account, right?
Yeah.
Right.
This is what I'm saying is, again, you got to be careful because you see, like I've learned that, through dating years and years and years ago, right? It's just those guys are shallow. They're not deep, and they'll give you your 12 weeks, but they won't give you anything more. We're here for a relationship. We want to build mentors. We want to be there for you so that you can learn to be there for others in the community. It's this whole people helping people thing. Yeah. And it's time for that. It's 2020. We've had COVID. We've had, everything happen to us. So we got to start seeing the importance of being there for one another, not in a big, large, boisterous capacity. It's not about, and I use this example in one of the emails I sent out to the community regarding brush your teeth. Going to the dentist twice a year is not going to do shit for your teeth. Yeah. Saying I love you on your birthday, at Christmas, and maybe one other holiday during the year is not going to keep a relationship together. It's the day-to-day shit. It's the stuff, getting up and saying I love you, and having a sandwich ready once in a while for your partner, pouring a cup of coffee. That's the stuff that keeps things together. And that's what we need to start focusing on. And that's what Insight is laser focused on, is the everyday.
Yep.
Every day. The grind. We're on it every day. The 4 of us on it every day, right? We're posting, we're commenting. And no matter how big that community gets, we're going to have more people like us that have built themselves up from the trenches, like, Matt Gautreau and other people that are going to be mentors within the community. So they're going to have our backs. And all of a sudden, we've got a multitude of people there to help you, keep you inspired, keep you motivated, all of the things that you need, and not cost you a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. As you can see, I'm a little passionate about this. It's right. Because I've been that dude that's, cost.
A douchebag.
I've been the douchebag. Yeah, I've been the douchebag. No, I've been the fat kid that grew up and wanted with a chip on his shoulder, right?
Right.
And that's the thing. And then I charge people exorbitant amounts of money in order to give them, what I wanted to give them, as opposed to what they needed. Right. And this is what Insight is all about. And that's what the 4 of us are working our asses off to do for people, is to figure out what it is that they need by listening to them. And that's the community. That's our way of communicating and connecting with people.
It's very true.
Right?
You too can be an Insight member. For less than $40 a month, you can have a personalized meal plan, access to our app, and our private Facebook group, as well as other perks and prizes. For more information, go to insighthf.com.